Hey guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. So today I'm going to be talking. I'm trying to think of good ideas, good ways of actually generating new revenue for rugby. And you know, in South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia, we got dwindling crowds. We have these huge big stadiums. I think most of the South African stadiums seat about 50,000 or 40 to 60,000 people, and it's becoming quite difficult to fill those stadiums. Especially week in and week out, people get to watching Super Rugby. It's quite difficult. Whereas I'm watching overseas, and a lot of the clubs have 10 to 15,000 seater stadiums, and it always seems it's so nice to see full stadiums. So, but I'm really looking at it more from a different kind of point of view. It's how to generate revenue. Now, I've been playing with this idea. I was going to try write an article about this last year, but I realized that I'm not very good at writing articles. I'm generally fairly better at creating a video, even though I stuck my demo for a bit. But I've been toying with this idea. I watch a lot of esports too. Not all the time, but I know on our paid TV channel they do show some esport. They were showing some Overwatch, which is a first-person kind of game, but it's a team kind of game. And I was looking at these teams, and you have teams of 5 on either side going up against each other. These guys have coaches, they have nutritionists. These guys have to be physically fit, and they train anywhere from 4 to 8 hours every day, doing tactics, different kinds of strategies for defense and attack. And I started looking at it, and I started thinking, jeepers, it actually makes a lot more sense to have an esports team as just looking at it from the outside, because they have leagues. You know that some of these online matches can have, I don't know, 50, 60,000 people signing in to watch the games. Watch esport, and you won't believe how huge it is. They're talking next year it is going to be a $1.5 billion sport. I know the top teams, this was a few years ago, the top teams had about $18-19 million in prize money. That's fairly impressive, and I know that a lot of the NBA and a lot of the professional leagues are now starting to create esports league. So I was just doing some research, and I actually saw that the Natal Sharks or the Sharks are actually actively recruiting for an esports side to start competing. I'm not sure, they're just actively recruiting at the moment. So I was thinking, wouldn't it make a lot more sense for the Super Rugby sides, the Lions, the Crusaders, and everyone, to actually also have an esports team which is branded the Crusaders or something to that effect. That we either Sansa or we can create a league. And look, we're not talking. They don't have to play rugby on. They can play any one of the esports games, and create a tournament or a league that's based around played at the same times that the other games are played. I'm just trying to think of different ways of bringing in revenue. One, esports brings in a different kind of sponsor. So we're talking computer suppliers, motherboards, could be energy drinks. So it's a different kind of sponsorship. Also thinking about it, most of these kids that are coming out nowadays are 18. They're coming out to play. They're equally adept at holding a controller at their hand or playing a sport. And you've actually got to look at the behind the scenes of these sports teams. They have to have a good lifestyle. They have to be physically fit. They eat the right kind of food. They have nutritionists on board. They have coaches. There's 5 players that generally have 2-3 subs that substitute them. These guys train bloody hard. And I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking, wouldn't that be great to have a league that's running parallel to Soros League, or one of the leagues that is owned and managed by rugby as bringing in a revenue. Now a lot of people may sit out there and think, hey, Don, you're talking absolute hogwash. You're talking rubbish. How can you mix these two different genres together? But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, they can all play at the stadiums. It's very difficult for them to be selling those hospitality suites nowadays. So it's just converting one of the hospitality suites, one of the bigger ones, into an e-sport environment. So the players can play there. Most of the stadiums have high-speed broadband internet, so they can compete against each other. At certain times, the two teams could come together, or they could fly together and play at those individual places, and there could be the show. It's just a different. It will bring in a different kind of person into the stadiums, and isn't that what we want? You know, if we could just have a 1 or 2% cross pollination from rugby players and esports players, from the fans that actually watch it. You know, I just think it's a way to do it, and it would just bring in different kinds of sponsorship, different kinds of TV deals, and it's time to think outside of the box. Like I said, maybe I'm completely off the mark here, but if I see the Sharks are busy doing it, I think it's time, and it's time to think of something a little bit different. What do you guys think? You know, what do you guys think of actually creating these different avenues of revenue? They're non-traditional. You know, your TV deals are pretty much saturated. You can only sell that so many tickets. The clubs overseas are, I think, more and more £1 million for a player, or €1 million for a player is not unheard of. So we can't compete against that. So it's time to think outside of the box. And I've got a feeling that this is a great way of doing it. To set up a league or set up a side, you're talking, I don't know, maybe $600,000 to set it up. Which sounds like a lot of money, but you know, over a certain period of time, bringing in the prize money and bringing in the viewership and all of that, maybe it makes sense, and maybe somebody upstairs needs to start looking at it. But it's time for, instead of us complaining about us losing our players up north, maybe it's time to figure out new ways of making revenue. What do you guys think of that? Chat to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.